No apology coming from Stalin Jr. while the BJP intensifies its attack on the India coalition of which the DMK is part of. Fact is that the alliance itself is a divided house over what Stalin has said. In fact, you have the TMC and leaders from the Congress party coming out and saying that what Stalin Jr. said shouldn't have been said. Listen in.
Who should not involve in any matter which may harm any section of the society. Maybe he's a junior, so he may not be knowing that. But from my side, I can give my views that I also came to know this, but I do not know from which vision they have said so. I feel that they have to respect every religion.
सबसे पहले उदयनिधि स्टालिन का मैं निषेध व्यक्त करता हूं और उन्होंने सनातन हिंदू धर्म की माफी मांगनी चाहिए। उन्होंने इस तरह का स्टेटमेंट करना उचित नहीं है और इंडिया लेवल पे जो उनका कुछ अलायंस बना है उसकी मीटिंग के बाद ही इस तरह का स्टेटमेंट करना, मुझे लगता है कि उनकी कुछ तो उनके स्ट्रेटेजी डिसाइड हो गई है और ये स्टेटमेंट स्टालिन ने किया है।
Any religion that does not promote equality, any religion that does not ensure that you have the dignity of being a human being is not a religion according to me. Any religion which does not give you equal rights, does not treat you like humans, is not a religion. So it's as good as a disease.
तुम और तुम्हारे मित्र रहे ना रहे, सनातन था, सनातन है और सनातन रहेगा। हिंदू आतंकवाद कहने की होड़ कांग्रेस में एक के बाद दूसरे नेता की लगी है। आखिर इनकी मंशा और मानसिकता क्या है? ये राजनीति के लिए इतना नीचे गिर जाएंगे कि सनातन धर्म को खत्म करने की बात करेंगे। पूरे देश से इस गठबंधन के नेताओं को माफी मांगनी चाहिए। खड़गे जी हो, राहुल गांधी जी हो, सोनिया जी हो, बाकी राजनीतिक दलों के नेता हो, इनको पूरे देश से और हिंदू समाज से माफी मांगनी चाहिए। देश इनको माफ नहीं करेगा।
To mix up a religion with casteism is a mischievous attempt by Stalin's son. See, that is the truth he has spoken about the mindset of not only DMK, about all India, whatever they call associates. So, it's a Hitler mindset. It's a Hitler mindset. So it is better to call Udhayanidhi Hitler because he also talked about genocide.
Okay, so much fire over Sanatan Dharma. Let's take a minute to understand what exactly it means. And who better to explain that to us than mythologist and author Devdutt Patnaik. Listen into him.
जिस धर्म में आप आत्मा और पुनर्जन्म में विश्वास करते हो उसे सनातन धर्म कहते हैं, क्योंकि आत्मा का अंत नहीं होता, पुनर्जन्म का अंत नहीं होता और सनातन का अर्थ है जिसका अंत नहीं होता है। हिंदुइज्म, बुद्धिज्म, जैनिज्म को सनातन धर्म कहा जाता है क्योंकि यहाँ पुनर्जन्म पे विश्वास है। अभी सनातन धर्म को 19वीं शताब्दी में राजनीति से जोड़ा गया। 19वीं शताब्दी में समाज के सुधार के लिए कई लोग ने वर्ण व्यवस्था के विपरीत आवाज उठाई। उन्होंने अपोज किया, कास्ट सिस्टम को अपोज किया, जातिवाद को अपोज किया और उन्होंने कहा कि स्त्रियों को स्कूल और कॉलेज में भेजा जाना चाहिए। इन्हें अपोज करने वाले कई रूढ़िवादी लोग थे जिन्होंने कहा कि नहीं, जातिवाद रहना चाहिए, वर्ण व्यवस्था रहना चाहिए और स्त्रियों को स्कूल कॉलेजेस नहीं भेजने चाहिए। इन्हें सनातनी हिंदू कहा गया है। तो ऐसे सनातन धर्म शब्द का इस्तेमाल होने लगा।
Okay, while we speak of Sanatan Dharma and Junior Stalin, let's also speak very quickly about Senior Stalin. He's kickstarted the 2024 election campaign with a new podcast series. So if the Prime Minister has Man Ki Baat, Tamil Nadu's Chief Minister M.K. Stalin has his own podcast series. It's being called Speaking for India. Now, in the first episode, Mr. Stalin said that the India alliance must win to prevent the whole country from becoming Manipur and Haryana. Listen in.
ये सब छुपाने के लिए धर्म की आड़ लेते हैं, लोगों की धार्मिक भावनाओं को भड़काकर अपनी राजनीति चमकाते हैं। 2002 में भाजपा ने गुजरात राज्य में हिंसा और नफरत के बीज बोए। 2023 में पूर्वोत्तर राज्य मणिपुर और हरियाणा में भड़की सांप्रदायिक आग की वजह से निर्दोष लोगों की जान और माल की हानि हो रही है। अगर हमने इसे अभी नहीं रोका तो इंडिया को कोई नहीं बचा पाएगा। जब भी इंडिया की बहुआयामी प्रकृति, संघवाद और लोकतांत्रिक गरिमा को खतरा हुआ है तो टीएमके हमेशा यथास्थिति के लिए अग्रणी रही है।
A quick chat with my guest this evening, Uma Anandan from the BJP, joining us on the broadcast. Thank you very much. We have Ramasubramanian, who's a political analyst, speaking on behalf of the DMK. Just a quick caveat here. We did send out an invite to the DMK to represent themselves on the show and answer questions we have. They said they are not taking part in any discussions related to Mr. Stalin Jr. and his statement. We also have Dr. Narayan Laxman, who's the associate editor at The Hindu, joining us on the broadcast. Hi, everyone. Good evening to all of you. Let me come to my favorite, Uma ji. As always, Uma ji, please help me understand, if Stalin Jr. is making a comment, why you want Sonia Gandhi and Mallikarjun Kharge and Rahul Gandhi to apologize?
See, first, you're judged by the company you keep, right? I hope you will agree on that. And second, I would like to ask, this entire episode, and Tamil Nadu for the last, more than that, from the beginning of the Justice Party and then to the Dravidar Kazhagam, their ideology is what has been voiced every 2 days by all these Dravidian parties. So that means they're endorsing E.V. Ramasamy, whom they consider as their mentor. That is the ideology. This is the ideology he started. So I would like to ask them then, the same Mr. Jawaharlal Nehru, the Congress Prime Minister, had some very harsh words to say, which I have been repeatedly telling. He called Mr. E.V. Ramasamy a pervert, a criminal who should be put in a lunatic asylum. So now, Sonia Gandhi and their son Rahul Gandhi and Garge, do they support Mr. Jawaharlal Nehru, or do they want to stand by DMK for entering the parliament from south for their seats? Definitely it is a political thing. So let them, see, ideology, that is what we are asking, because if my ally is telling something that is totally alien to the culture of this, and what are they naming themselves? I.N.D.I.A. What is India's essence? Sanatan Dharma is the essence of India. So how can they say and campaign? I would like to ask, the same Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi, would they campaign everywhere with Mr. Udhayanidhi Stalin and their grandfather, everything? So there is nothing wrong in calling, and you know where to keep your friends. You decide who your friends are, and if you decide who your friends are and you want them by your side for the sake of political gains, then come out openly. Let Mr. Rahul Gandhi stop donning makeup, donning costume parade in visiting temples. Yes. Yes.
Acha, Umaji, now listen to me. Two things.
Yes.
There are two things that Udhayanidhi Stalin is saying. He's saying, A, the BJP is very mischievous. They are experts in spreading fake news. Where have I called for a genocide? Have I used the word genocide anywhere? And if my statement means I'm calling for a genocide of Hindus, then does it mean that every time the BJP says Congress Mukt Bharat, they are calling for a genocide as well? Two, he says, please understand my statement and don't twist it.
Let me
What I'm trying to say is that ek minute, Umaji, first listen to my second question. You can answer both questions. No, I have enough time. Umaji, no, Umaji, wait. Listen to my second question, then answer both. Then he goes on to say, Umaji, that for me, and what Parayar had taught us and fought against is the caste system in Hinduism, the untouchability in Hinduism, the way Hindu women were treated. We are opposed to that. That is what I'm opposing when I say that Sanatan Dharma needs to be eradicated. He's saying this. I'm not saying this. I don't agree to any Dharma being called dengue, malaria, corona. I'm a Sanatani myself. I'm a Sanatani because I'm a Hindu. I believe in rebirth. But this is his explanation. That you are unnecessarily and mischievously twisting what he's saying.
Okay, I'll answer both your questions now. First, he says there is a difference between telling Congress Mukt Bharat. That is, Congress is contesting as a political party. It is not the culture of the country. All the citizens, 80% of them are not Congress walis. That is a political ideology, not a cultural ideology, not a religious ideology. Sanatana Dharma is a religious ideology, and the spirit, Hinduism was founded in India. It was not founded anywhere else. So you're attacking us, the Indians population, 80% of us. Can Congress say that 80% of them are Congress? It is a political ideology. So let's not compare a political ideology and a religious ideology. Second, he says about caste system. Don't you have a caste system in Muslims and Christians where even after death you're discriminated? Can a Muslim be? You had instances where a Christian child who was kidnapped, killed, and the Christians' cemetery, the child was not allowed to be buried. The mother came in front of, have you all forgotten this about 2 years ago? The mother was running from pillar to post to bury the dead body. When they can't give respect to a dead body for discriminating, you're talking about our discrimination.
So what are you saying, Umaji?
Why take the advertisements I've been repeatedly telling? What about the caste system in Islam? What about the caste system? Rautar, Labar, what is the difference between Shia, Sunni, a Protestant, a Jacobite? Why don't they have the courage to talk about all the differences?
Umaji.
Alone. So let's not talk and lie. And E.V. Ramasamy. Wait. E.V. Ramasamy is not somebody who did upliftment.
Is your argument that if there is caste system in Muslims, it should be in Hindus as well? And it justifies untouchability in Hinduism? Acha, ruk jaiye. Okay, Umaji, I've heard you.
No.
I've heard you. Now the BJP cannot say that I don't let their spokesperson speak. Umaji, ruk jaiye. There are two more people on this panel. I always get accused by the BJP.
No.
Okay. You made your point. You made your point.
I would like to refute the fake
I need to get in Mr. I need to get in Mr. Ramasubramanian to answer to what you are saying. Umaji, don't make me shout, please. आप बुजुर्ग हैं, मेरे को ना चिल्वाएं. I don't want to scream and shout on the show. I want to listen to you. I have great respect for all of you. And as I said, I often get accused of not letting BJP spokespersons speak. So I've made sure that today no such allegation can be leveled against me. But Mr. Ramasubramanian, there is an grave allegation that has been leveled against Stalin Jr. Was it politically naive for him to say what he has said? I know what Periyar's ideology is. I know what Dravidian politics is. But it's a naive statement to make when you are heading into a general election in 8 months and your coalition partners are many parties from up north. You have simply managed to embarrass them, nothing else.
First of all, you mentioned that I am speaking for DMK. It is not so. I am not a DMK person at all. I am not a member of any political party. Let me make it clear. Second point.
Okay, sir.
Yes, Sanatana Dharma, in a broader sense, it has certain values. And Sanatana means it is ancient and it can never be changed and it will be eternal. These are all certain points that have to be taken into account. Second issue is that there are certain practices. I have suffered myself. See, being a person from a very orthodox Brahmin family, when my father died, the practice of taking of the hair from my mother, that has to be ensured. So myself and my sisters were crying. See, this cannot be done at all. That is one thing which is still hurting. This is one point Mr. Udhayanidhi Stalin has mentioned in his speech. See, this was a practice. And second point, till some years ago, ladies were not allowed to study beyond a point. That is again my own story. My sister, when she attained puberty, she was not allowed to go to the school, and that was cut off, and she had to get married. In fact, I am the fellow to have married at a very late age. Late age means only 21. When I was 21, I have to marry. So what I'm saying is there are certain practices which have to be certainly given up. This is what exactly Mr. Udhayanidhi Stalin has harped upon. And the second, another issue. Now, this DMK government is doing a lot of good things for girls, particularly the girls from the schools, government schools. When they go to higher studies, they are all given 1,000 rupees per month, which is a very big point to be appreciated. Second point, the morning breakfast is being offered to the children in the government schools. That is helping about 31,000 schools. Lakhs of students
no, that's all very well.
One minute.
No, Mr. Ramasubramanian, that is all very well, but that's not the question I asked you. That's all very well, but that's not the question I asked you.
These are all.
Dr. Narayan, just...
No. When they are all given even the breakfast and noon meals, what one newspaper, a very leading newspaper has mentioned that the toilets are overflowing. So these are all things which had hurt the DMK people, particularly Mr. Udhayanidhi Stalin, and he has spoken in the forum. And there is nothing wrong about it. I mean, he cannot talk about Hinduism. It can never be.
Okay, you are saying there is nothing. Okay, you are saying there is nothing wrong about what he said. Give me a minute here. You are saying, give me a minute here. Okay, I asked you a simple. Give me a. Okay.
No, please, madam.
Okay, sir. Let me bring in Dr. Narayan Laxman as well. I've heard you. I've heard you out. I asked you a question. You have not answered that. You've just gone on to give me a great list about how well the DMK government is doing for the women of Tamil Nadu, sir. That is not the question I asked you. Let me ask that question to Dr. Narayan Laxman now. Dr. Narayan Laxman, we all understand what Dravidian politics is, right? And their ideological base. But as I said, was this absolutely politically naive of Stalin Jr. to say what he did, or was it said deliberately?
Well, Shreya, there's so many ways you can slice this. I think the most immediate one that jumps out at me is, look, we're all on a TV channel talking about him. So maybe the purpose was to actually just thrust the DMK into the limelight very, very quickly. And in that very limited way, it may be a success. But leaving that aside, I think definitely a case of, overreach in terms of political speak. I think there was... We all know, and you've said this yourself on this show, that everybody knows the Dravidian ideology stood for social justice and so forth. But there to mix up a whole religion with the specifics of the injustices of the caste system, that is the first problem. The second was to add on this tag of dengue and malaria, which is when you associate with the meanings of disease, any word, it portrays it in an extremely negative light. So I think that has injured religious sentiment across the country, and maybe that is not the kind of attention the DMK wants. And it's not hard to imagine that Mr. Stalin, the chief minister, is had a chat with his son and advised on a course correction. That is possible. We are yet to see a public admission of that, but that could come. He's already sort of halfway kind of pedaled back what he said. But just to again add context there, I do think the fact that there's so much injured sentiment over it actually, to me, tells me that there aren't that many people across this country who make that link between Hinduism and the caste system. So everybody in lunch table conversations, polite conversations, likes to say, look, nowadays we're in modern India, all that is behind us. But let's not forget, again, most of India lives in not urban metropolises, and we do get snippets of extremely ghastly incidents that are happening in
many parts of this country where there is a caste element. And I think while, as I said, the DMK has always stood for something against that, the language with which they do so, the fact that some of their members have other unexplained, acts which they really need to be accountable for when they, preach from the high table. These things don't go down well, and I think that's exactly what you're seeing here. So I don't see the DMK backing down in terms of ideology, but I do see them softening it going forward, if nothing, due to the practical realities of being part of the India alliance and the discomfort that alliance partners would have.
Mr. Ramasubramanian, I'm going to ask you a very specific question. I don't have too much time, but please tell me, please tell me, was it a mistake for Stalin Jr. to use the words that he has, comparing Sanatan Dharma to dengue, to malaria, and to corona? Who speaks like that? This just reeks of political immaturity, nothing else. Forget what your ideology is. Who talks like this?
He has highlighted about certain superstitions and practices which are to be condemned. Like, the dengue, malaria and all that, they are all to be certainly eradicated. For example, there are differences between the men and women. That should not be there. And second point, the caste. That is another major problem that is confronting the entire country. These are all, of course, caste is there in other religions too, but mainly it is very predominant in the Hinduism. There are
ways of saying things. Mr. Subramania, there are ways of saying this. You are now part of a 28-party alliance. This is the first serious attempt at forming a united opposition to take on the BJP. This is a serious exercise. You are harming that exercise and that effort when you say things like Sanatan Dharma needs to be eradicated, like corona, like dengue, and like malaria. You are harming that alliance.
No. Where did
I
he
hope
speak?
Mr. Stalin Jr. Stalin Jr. Of course it does. Which is why you have the TMC stepping out and saying, no one is qualified to make statements like that. The Congress is saying the same thing.
See, I'm not, standing by what Mr. Udhayanidhi Stalin says. But the point is, there are n number of BJP people who have also stood against the Muslims and the Christians of the country. In fact, there are some ministers who openly said that this is not the place for Muslims. They have to be thrown into Arabic Sea and all that. I think these are all, in a flamboyant speech, these things do happen.
Here's the thing.
It is not to be
I'll let
taken quite
Uma Anandan respond to that.
It is not to be
No, it has to be taken seriously. What politicians say has to be taken seriously. Udhayanidhi Stalin is the successor to MK Stalin. We have to take what he's saying seriously.
No, what I mean to say is...
I understand the intention. He needs to choose his words more carefully. Uma Anandan, I will give you the last word. But please don't go on and on, ma'am. I have exactly 20 seconds. The allegation coming in for the BJP is the BJP can say anything and get away. The BJP can say what they want to say about Muslims and get away. But Stalin Jr. cannot say anything about Sanatan Dharma.
Why in Tamil Nadu Why nothing? In Tamil Nadu, you have every second day a Dravidian goon talking such nonsense. The Hindus, why? The Raja said Hindus should be genocide. Their own MP said, and their own ministers have spoken all rotten things about Sanatana Dharma. So let us not plead holier than thou attitude now. And what about AIM Ovasi who said, give me with so much of this thing, I will punish them. Have them their own partners. So let them not say they are holier than thou, they are pure Western virgins, and we are the ones who are taking. We have tolerated all nonsense from all these people. So now that we are waking up and we are becoming sensitive, you people are not able to tolerate that. The Hindus have taken a lot of shit from everybody.
Okay, Umaji, we leave it there for the moment. Thank you very much. Thank you for keeping it short. Umaji, thank you very much. Mr. Ramasubramanian, thank you very much. Good to have you on the show. And Dr. Narayan Laxman, bringing some sense to this debate. Thank you very much indeed. With that, it's a wrap from me. Thanks very much for watching. My colleague Shreya Dhoundial is joining you at the top of 9 with all the day's top stories. Do stay with us.